What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today I want to talk to you guys about this Retro Cup team that's got a couple of unusual picks on it. It's not the hardest meta line that you're going to see. It's got a little bit of spice in it. It might throw a couple of your opponents off if they're not ready to deal with these Pokemon or know how to handle them. It's got one hard meta Pokemon, not going to lie, but you do need to have something to really hold teams together in a meta like the Retro Cup, which is heavily dominated by the few strongest picks like Lickitung, like Froslass. You've got to be able to actually deal with those picks. So we've got something a little bit mainstream and then two things a little bit spicy in this line. And let me tell you guys, this team has been having pretty decent performance for me. Not the best, but I'm having pretty consistent positive sets, just kind of 3-2s across the board. I haven't had a single negative set with this line yet, which means it can't be that inconsistent as a team. That I'm getting very, very lucky with my matchups. So if you guys have any of these Pokemon lying around, it might inspire you to give them a try in your own line and perhaps build a different team if you haven't got all three available to you. But trust me, every single one of the Pokemon on this team does fill a pretty nice role in this meta. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the team. So from the thumbnail, you probably guessed that the lead on this team is going to be Goodra. Now, Goodra is pretty damn rare in the wild. In fact, I haven't seen a Goomy in quite a long time in the wild. The main place to get them at this point is from 10km eggs, and I believe at that point they might be too big to actually use in the Great League. So this is quite an inaccessible Pokemon overall, but I do think it has an interesting play, has an interesting role to play in the meta, and I'm lucky enough to have one with a reasonable PVP IV spread. So we're going to give it a go. It has access to Dragon Breath, Muddy Water, Power Whip. It also has access to Draco Meteor, as well as Sludge Wave. On the Say Swap, our meta boy for the team is going to be Walrein, and this is going to be double legacy because it's going to have the Community Day moves of Powder Snow and Icicle Spear. And Walrein's just a very strong pick in any Great League format that it's allowed in, as well as any Ultra League format that it's allowed in. It's just a very, very, very strong Pokemon. It's going to be our main answer to Froslass, which might sound like insanity, but honestly, Walrein deals with Froslass pretty well. And then in the back, we're going to be bringing Bewear. So that's going to be two Community Day Pokemon, but Bewear does not need its legacy move of Drain Punch. In fact, I have TM'd away Drain Punch from this particular Bewear to give it superpower to use in this cup instead. So if you don't have a Community Day Bewear build, don't worry, just use a regular one, give it superpower, give it payback. It's got Shadow Claw as a fast move as well for excellent damage and energy generation. Also, if you guys are new here, consider subscribing, it means a lot to me, and let's take a look at some actual battles using this team. Alright, so the first matchup that we've got on is a Jellicent lead, and I think this is a positive lead for Goodra in general. The Shadow Ball will hit fairly hard, and there is a possibility of Ice Beam, which probably will take you out, or at least do absolutely massive damage. So we're going to shield up the first move. It is the Ice Beam, that's completely fine, because with the Power Whip, we either get that shield back, or we do monstrous damage and take the Jellicent straight out and leave a ton of health. They actually swap out to a Froslass, and we don't mind throwing the Power Whip at Froslass because we're happy for them to take that. It does a nice big chunk of damage, and that means we can bring in our Bewear and just farm down entirely. We're just going to Shadow Claw down, Jellicent comes in, we make it to the payback, and if they don't shield this, Jellicent's gone, and we don't mind being down a shield. If not, we get the shield back, everything's still fine. They're trying to Hex us down, they're going to struggle to get there just because we're double resisting Hex and it's not a damage heavy move. We managed to bait the last shield out with a superpower, which is absolutely fantastic for us, and now we're just going to bring in Walrein to sponge some of this energy because we've got a feeling that Goodra's got some play in the back. We actually take an Ice Beam because they must have not been ready, expecting the Goodra to come back in just through the Ice Beam blinder, which is absolutely fantastic. We take a Shadow Ball as well, doesn't matter. Walrein can tank those moves reasonably well, and now we've got a very heavily loaded Walrein. They got Cresselia in the back, which can tank a lot of hits, but we've got a lot of energy to put out right now. So we're going to swap straight to Goodra, and yeah, we go for the power, we go for the damage. It would be tempting to go for the Bubble Beam debuff, but honestly, Walrein can't survive a charge move either way, debuffed or not, so we're going to need to be using this shield regardless. So we might as well get the damage off and put this thing down into single Icicle Spear range. We let the move go, and it's actually a Grass Knot bait, which is whatever, I guess, we don't mind. We were just happy to save the shield for Walrein to make sure we definitely got the Icicle Spear through. But we're going to take that win. GG. So Jellicent lead with a Froslass Say Swap, absolutely no worries, handled that team no issue whatsoever. Now we've got a Froslass lead, which is absolutely worst case scenario because We expected with this team the majority of Froslass to be actually in the safe swap position, so seeing one on the lead isn't as ideal, to be honest, because Goodra does struggle against the ice damage. So we're actually going to safe swap Bewear just because we count Warrain as a better counter to Froslass, and also that Shadow Claw fast move damage can really add up. We commit a shield to block an avalanche. I think it's worth it just to preserve some health on Bewear, and now we're able to dump some superpowers into this Vigoroth, which gets it very, very low. We get that shield back, but we don't manage to take switch advantage. That's fine, we'll let the energy go on Goodra because we know that it's stuck against the Froslass anyway. So we're just going to hope that single shielded Warrain can sweep both the Froslass and whatever's in the back. Since we baited out a Vigoroth, there's a good chance that there isn't a good answer to Warrain in the back, since they're unlikely to have two fighters. And it turns out that's a good call because they actually have Talonflame in the back, and this isn't a bad matchup for Warrain at all. Two Icicle Spears will take out Talonflame. Now, we have to, we shield up. It's a flame charge. That doesn't matter too much. Ideally, we would not have to shield the flame charge, save a shield for the Froslass, but we might still be able to pull this off. It's going to be a little bit close. We're going to go for the Icicle Spear, hoping to get that last shield, because we're hoping they just don't have track of our energy. They don't shield it, so that's a fantastic call from this opponent, but now this Shadow Ball won't take us out. Warrain is pretty bulky. We're going to get to another Icicle Spear, force the last shield, swap to Goodra, and hopefully get to a Bubble Beam or a Power Whip, something. We managed to make to the Bubble Beam. This should be enough because although it's a weak move, it's non-stab. Froslass is very squishy. Finishes it off. We take the win. Good game. So a Froslass lead with a fighter in the back. Check. Handled. Nothing to worry about. This team can still hang in there and deal with it even if we don't take switch advantage. Next matchup, Altaria lead. This is a pretty neutral matchup, but Altaria just has a little bit more bulk in the Great League, so it can take those Dragon Breaths a little bit better, and also they're resisting the Bubble Beam, they're resisting the Power Whip, and they get to Sky attacks reasonably fast. So I opt to go for throwing just double Bubble Beams, Muddy Waters, sorry, not Bubble Beams, chance at debuffing their attack, and then just bring in Warrain to farm down. There's a good chance they have two answers to Warrain in the back, just because Altaria is so weak to ice. So as a lead, we're expecting two answers to it in the back, and it turns out they bring in a Greedent, which isn't actually the best answer in the world to Warrain. It does pretty well, because those Bullet Seeds are super effective and do make up a little bit of difference. The Body Slams are super spammy. Greedent obviously is just a very good choice in general for the Great League. But we're just going to go for Icicle Spear spam, because we don't want to bring Bewear in here. Those Shadow Claws are normally very useful, but they're not going to give us much use at farming this thing down. So we do need to get it lower. We're going to commit the shield, let the Powder Snows add up a little more, see if we can get another Icicle Spear off. They swap out into Pelipper, and this is really not looking like a good situation. Bewear is part fighting type, so we'll be taking super effective from these wing attacks. The Weather Balls are going to hit reasonably hard. A Hurricane would absolutely annihilate us, so we have to call that it's a Weather Ball, which we do call. That's fantastic. And we're just going to go for double Superpower. We're not quite there, but we will survive one more wing attack, even debuffed, to be able to get it off and maybe get the other shield. If we do, maybe we can find down with Warrain. Maybe we can throw one last move with the Greedent, who knows. But the Pelipper lets it go through, commits to farming us down, and that pretty much seals our fate here. There's nothing we can do. They could even just Bullet Seed us down. They don't have to throw moves. So we're going to not shield, let it go through and go down, and let the opponent have the win. GG's. Sorry if I'm stuttering a bit, by the way, guys. I don't know if I've had too much coffee or not enough coffee. Either way, caffeine is having an effect on me right now. But next matchup, Warrain lead. Again, pretty bad lead for a dragon type, though ice damage is going to absolutely threaten us very hard. We swap out to Warrain to mirror match, and they bring in Toxicroak. This is looking absolutely worst case scenario. Again, an ice type locked up against our dragon, a fighter locked up against one of our Pokemon in the back, so we definitely can't control switch advantage here. We do manage to get an Icicle Spear through, and they're going to throw some energy. This is okay. We're just going to let this go, farm down with Goodra, and then hopefully Bewear and Goodra combined can handle whatever's in the back. Remember that we do have Power Whip on Goodra, so if we can get enough of an energy advantage, that Power Whip will take out the Warrain. It's super effective, it's a fantastically energy efficient move. We swap out to Bewear and pull out an Alolan Marowak, which is not a good answer to Bewear. Even though we're part fighting type, we have Payback, which will annihilate Marowak. It does, boom, goes through, one shots, and now we can go for some superpowers against this Warrain, force that shield. If we get the shield here, we're going to save both shields for Goodra to make sure we get to the power whip and take it out. So we're going to let this go, which might not seem like the smartest call, but trust me on this, because that War Rain is spammy, but it will not get to 3 Icicle Spears by the time we get to that power whip, and it will KO War Rain, because as we said, power whip is just a fantastic charge move. It's really energy efficient, does big damage, even though it's not stab, bang, War Rain's out of there. We're going to take that win. GG's. So again, taking a win against an ice lead against our dragon, a fighter in the back, but baiting out that fighter gives the other Pokemon in the back a lot of room to sweep the end game potentially. Talonflame lead I take as pretty positive, just because you're going to be resisting that incinerate damage. They have to go for Brave Bird to really threaten you for big damage. So I take it as a pretty positive position to be in. They swap out into a Shadow Razor Leaf Abomasnow, which we might as well just stay in here for a little bit, I think, because we're resisting the Razor Leaves. We want to put some work in. We throw the Power Whip, take it straight out. Depending what they bring in here, we might swap out straight away to preserve Goodra. But they actually bring in Jellicent. We decide to try and catch a Shadow Ball on Bewear. This is a ballsy play. It pays off. We catch the Shadow Ball, double resisted. Absolutely fantastic. So we don't have to spend that last shield just yet, and we've got a ton of energy saved up on Goodra. So we're way over 100 energy at this point, but we wanted to maximize when we threw to get the most Shadow Claws through as well against this Talonflame. So we're going to go straight for another payback. This is going to do big damage if we don't get the second shield. They're probably not expecting it, but we do get the shield. So now they're all shields down. We're pretty much set up to take this game. We're probably going to bring in War Rain to deal with the Talonflame. We know that Goodra can probably make it to a Power Whip. I think it has a Power Whip stored to take out the Jellicent. Nope, we're going to bring in Goodra against the Talonflame. Okay, maybe we think we can Muddy Water and then farm down before they get a move off. We can't. This is a Flame Charge though, right? Yeah, it's a Flame Charge. We let it go. We don't survive it though. We're going to come and farm down, sorry, with War Rain. And this Jellicent's pretty low actually. Very close to Icicle Spear range. So we're just going to go straight for, we're going to go for the Earthquake. This is a unnecessary call. I think we might as well just go for triple Icicle Spear at this point, but let it go. It's completely fine. We're going to take that win. Either way, I think either way of playing out that endgame would have worked out just fine. Having that energy stored up on the Goodra was going to go a long way either way, so we're in a pretty strong position. Just catching that Shadow Ball made all the difference. So that's a 4-1 set with this team. Let's take a look at one more set of battles, and this match I honestly really just wanted to show you guys because I was really happy with myself and my play in this game. So we've got an Altaria lead, and as we've said, Altaria is a little bit of a negative matchup for Goodra just because that Dragon Breath damage really adds up a little bit faster on us than it does on them. The only real way to have a chance of flipping this around is to get the attack debuff with the Muddy Water. They actually swap out into a War Rain, and we tried to catch an Icicle Spear on our War Rain and failed. So we let Goodra go completely with the bit of energy that it did have. I was going to bring in Bewear. So we've still got the chance to swap out if we want to. We figure we'll go straight for the superpower. See if we just knock them straight out and then swap to War Rain against their Altaria if it comes in. But they choose to shield up. I'm going to go for another superpower here. Give us the second shield, I'll get knocked out. But this War Rain has a lot of energy at this point. And we are double debuffed. They can just throw another Icicle Spear straight after. So we decide to let it go and try and go for 2 shielded War Rain to sweep the team, even though they've got a healthy Altaria, a healthy War Rain. We have no idea what's in the back. We shield an Earthquake, which is a massive call because Earthquake hits like an absolute truck. And they've got Cofagrigus in the back. So we need to manage our energy perfectly if we want to win this game. We need to land an Earthquake on their War Rain. We need to land one more Icicle Spear on this Cofagrigus. And we did an Icicle Spear on the Altaria. We managed to shield up, I believe it was a Psychic, which is a pretty good call. It's probably the hardest hitting charge move left in this match. We maximize our energy. We get a perfect farm down after the Icicle Spear. We've got an Earthquake ready to dump straight into this War Rain, knock it straight out. Can we also make it to the Icicle Spear before the Altaria gets to a Sky Attack? We can. We're going to knock it straight out, and War Rain is going to sweep this entire game because it is just that dominant, and with the right opportunity, energy management, and the shield advantage, it can just run away with some games. So really happy with that matchup. From the way that game started, I was convinced I was going to lose it. So I was very happy I stuck to my guns, saw it through, and actually managed to pull that game back because it felt like a very negative situation at the start. This matchup, we got a Jellicent lead, which again I've said I think is a pretty reasonable lead for Goodra. They actually swap out into War Rain. We get a Power Whip off, but it's a CMP tie so we can't get out of there and catch the Icicle Spear. So we're going to have to shield up, preserve the Goodra, and bring in our Warrain. Just because Warrain, we feel, has probably the weakest matchup with Jellicent on the team overall. So let this move go, I think. Now we're going to shield. It is an Earthquake. Okay, we're going to choose to commit both shields pretty early. Get a bit more extra energy before we decide to throw the Earthquake, see if they'll take them out. Are they going to give up their last shield as well? And it's not quite enough to knock them out. And honestly, they would make it to an Earthquake if we tried to go for a Powder Snow down. So we have to throw this Icicle Spear, so they have to shield if they want to get an Earthquake off, or let it go, which they do. That's completely fine with me. And they've now got Medicham to meet this Warrain. And this should just be a power-up punch. They've only thrown 5 counters. It is the power-up punch. So we're going to just go for double Icicle Spear for a nice big chunk of damage. They might think it's an Earthquake. They might shield, they might not. They choose not to. I'm going to throw the next one straight away. This will get the Medicham reasonably low. So can we still bring this game back? That Jellicent still has some energy. It's still got a fair amount of health, and we are shields down, which isn't ideal. I think we just have to hope that it doesn't have Ice Beam to hit Bewear. For big damage, we decide to swap in, snipe down Medicham with those super effective Shadow Claws, even though we take a bit of counter damage for it, just to get ahead on energy and get a little bit closer to those paybacks. Now we can't shield this up, obviously we've got no shields left. We're going to throw a Bubble Beam, we're going straight for payback. Don't shield it, come on. If they let this through, we can Shadow Claw down, boom! They do. We Shadow Claw down, we take them out, we take the win. They must have thought they needed to save a shield, possibly for Goodra, or possibly thinking that we were going to bait first and then go for a payback, but either way, we're very happy with that result, taking them out and taking the win. Alright, next game, a low-end Marowak lead, and I think this is a positive lead. It's pretty good to have either Bewear or Goodra lined up with this thing if it's running Fire Spin as a fast move. Oddly enough, our Water-type Warrain is the one that probably struggles most with a low-end Marowak, just because it's resisting that ice damage. So you've really just got to go for Earthquake nukes, which they can quite easily call with shields. We take a Shadow Bone, and they're going to bring in Defense Deoxys. So we're going to go straight up for Power Whip, because Defense Deoxys aren't often inclined to shield. We figure go for the big damage move, which we do manage to get. And we're going to stay in here, because honestly, we don't quite get the Bubble Beam. That's Muddy Water even. That's a big shame, because we did want to force a shield there. It was really, really unlucky that we couldn't get that move off. But it is what it is, because we're going to struggle with the counter users in the back. Both Warrain and Bewear don't really like to see Defense Deoxys, but at least Bewear can hit back for super effective damage with those Shadow Claws. So we're now down a shield. They've got Hypno, which they come in with, and that confusion damage is massive because Bewear is pretty squishy in the Great League, so that confusion is going to chunk away pretty heavily. Can Warrain sweep this team? Unless this Hypno doesn't have Thunder Punch, which it does, then we absolutely cannot sweep with Warrain. This game is pretty much already decided. We probably still need to land an Earthquake on the Marowak to take it out at this point. This Hypno can survive at least one more Icicle Spear. So we're just going to go for Icicle Spear on the Marowak. Hope they shield, land an Earthquake, maybe get to 2 more against Hypno. It's unlikely, but they don't shield the Icicle Spear. And that kind of just cements our fate here, because they can shield this, get to a charge move, and take us out. And that's going to be a good game to them. I think the only other way to play that matchup that may have gone differently would have been to shield up the Shadow Bone from Marowak on Goodra at the very start of the game and preserve some health on it. But I don't recommend shielding that move anyway in general in that situation. It's not worth it in more situations than it will be worth it. Alright, bit of spice in this matchup. Kingdra lead. Kingdra's pretty nice pick in general for Great and Ultra League, because that's such a Dragon Breath Octazooka, which has a chance to drop our attack by 2 stages, which is a pretty devastating debuff if they do manage to get it. The Dragon Breaths are a little bit similar to Altaria, except Kingdra's a little bit squishier, so we're very much on par with the damage we're putting out on each other. Kingdra in general isn't that threatening to the team as a whole, but it can put some work in given the chance and give some shields. This opponent swapped out to Hypno, so we decided to go for the Power Whip damage, because again, people with bulky things like Hypnos and Defense Deoxys are not expecting big damage, so they're unlikely to shield, which in one sense means that moves like Draco Meteor might go down pretty well in situations like that. So if you do try out Draco Meteor and it works out for you, let me know, because I would like to see some people getting one shot unsuspecting of a Draco in this cup. So they've got Jellicent in the back. I'm going to go for the Earthquake, on Warrain. We're just going to go for an Icicle Spear now, start getting this thing pretty low, because we should be able to farm down with Shadow Claw at this point if we do manage to get it any lower. We're not going to shield this up. Maybe it's a Bubble Beam, and if it is, it won't take us out. It is a Bubble Beam, so we can go for another Icicle Spear. The Kingdra actually swaps back in, We don't mind this. They're still going to have to shield it up or get taken out. We swap back into Goodra, which is a bit of a mistake because we're pretty low. So we do get farmed down entirely. And this Kingdra does have energy. It hasn't thrown a move yet. So this could be Outrage. And Outrage would definitely one-shot Bewear. So we're going to shield up. It's just an Octazooka. We don't get the defense debuff, which is absolutely lucky for us. Now, can we get to moves against this Jellicent fast enough to take it out? We can probably go for double superpower. They've only got Bubble Beam. This means they must just have Shadow Ball, Bubble Beam. We can Shadow Claw down entirely. We take the win. We don't need the charge moves. They go down with a shield and GG. If you know that a Jellicent does not have Ice Beam, honestly, Bewear is a very good answer because that Shadow Claw absolutely shreds and the payback will one-shot. So it's a very nice position to be in to get Bewear against a Jelly without Ice Beam. So this matchup we get another Walrein lead, absolutely horrendous for us. We're going to save swap Bewear, and this opponent has an Araquanid in the back, so we're very lucky that we've baited this out because Araquanid absolutely walls Walrein because it resists the ice moves, it resists the ground moves because of its bug typing. So Walrein can't really do much against this thing, and this would have been they've just been able to control switch advantage without giving up shields, whereas with Bewear, we're able to force a shield with the second payback here. And now they're going to have to throw a Bug Buzz if they do want to attempt to take us out, which they do get through, but we will make it to another move if they don't throw more energy. So we can now let this go. I'm going to build up a bit of extra energy on Goodra towards that Power Whip to hopefully one-shot the Walrein in the end game if needs be. We've already got a shield advantage. We're starting to get an energy advantage. Now we're going to bring in our Walrein to meet theirs, see if they want to swap out, see what they want to do. They stay in, so we figure it's an Earthquake, it's worth a shield, but it's not. We get baited with an Icicle Spear bait, and they catch the Earthquake on a Trevenant. What an absolutely monstrous catch. That's absolutely disgusting. And we see MP tie throwing the Icicle Spear. I must have been a little bit flustered at this point by not overcharging, expecting the Seed Bomb to come through. But now we're kind of in a tough situation here. Can we make it to a move against this Walrein and get a shield? We're not going to make it there. We're in a little bit of a tough spot here because we have to land the Power Whip to actually win this game. It's the only way to take out this Walrein. So we're going to choose to shield up because we can make it to this Earthquake because Powder Snow is not going to be able to farm down a Walrein even though we're super low because it's so bulky. We get the shield. We swap to Goodra. They get a move off. This probably won't KO. Icicle Spear hits hard, but not that hard. We do survive. We get the Power Whip. This is going to take out the Walrein, and it will give us the win and finish off this 4-1 set for us. GG's to this opponent. Very well played, very close game. But Goodra is just bulky enough to take an Icicle Spear. I didn't know that it was at the time, but I had to gamble that it was, and it paid off pretty well for us. So that's just a quick taste of that team and what to expect from it in the Retro Cup. If I've inspired you to try any one of these three Pokemon, let me know down below. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying the teams and the content. And don't forget, if you see a Froslass swap in very early in a game, swap to Walrein. It's your best answer to shut it down. If you get some chip damage off it with the charge move, like hitting it with the Power Whip from Goodra like we saw earlier, then bring in Bewear and Shadow Claw down and then just dump tons of energy into whatever follows it back in, and you should be set up pretty well for the rest of that game. So shout out to anyone that's still here. You're an absolute legend, and I will catch all you guys next time.